Good morning, students. We know that India is now going with a big crisis of coronavirus, and it is very uncertain that when will the school will open. So, in that perspective, I will try to teach you something online. My lesson will be of chemistry, chemical equations and reactions, or chemical reactions and equations. Okay, to you. I will try my best to give you the inputs. If you have any doubts or anything you want to ask, you can call me after my lesson gets over. And once the school gets reopened, again I will give a revision to these chapters. So you don't have to, you just pay your attention and try to listen what I am teaching, and any doubts you can clarify afterwards. Okay. So now my chapter is, the first lesson in chemistry is chemical reactions and equations. Now before going into chemical reactions and equations, I would like to tell you what are the chemical changes. What is it actually? Chemical reactions coming from the word chemical changes. Okay. Now you have seen certain chemical changes taking place. Like if you keep an iron long for some time, it will get rusted. If you cut an apple and keep it open in the exposed to sun air, it will get a brown coating over it. If you cut raw vegetables and then that can be cooked, okay, to get the prepared vegetables for us. So these are all the chemical changes taking place all around us. Like burning of fuels, these are all chemical changes. Now these all changes are what? They are having some, these are the nature and identity of the initial substances. That is, the nature and identity of the initial substances changes to new substances. There is a transformation from the original substances to the new substances. So now I will be coming to the chapter, that is the chemical reactions and equations. Now what is a chemical reaction? First of all, I will discuss what is a chemical reaction. Now chemical reaction, this is chemical reactions. Now chemical reactions, this is chemical reaction. Now the definition of chemical reaction is, a chemical reaction is a process. It is a process which transforms two or more substances or one or more substances to two or new products. It can be with the different properties, like different properties can be seen to it. Okay. Now, during this, new chemical products are formed with new properties. First of all, suppose if I take an example, just I will take a simple example of, if I take an example of lead nitrate. You all know the formula of lead nitrate, PbNO3. Lead nitrate. If I add potassium iodide solution to it, this is lead nitrate. Lead nitrate. If I add to potassium iodide solution, okay. Now when I add lead nitrate to potassium iodide, all of you may be in class 9, you may be knowing how to write the chemical formula. Already it has been given. So lead nitrate, lead valency plus 2, nitrate valency minus 1. So by crisscross rule it forms lead nitrate. Similarly, potassium valency plus 1, iodide valency minus 1. It forms Ki. So in this way the formula of potassium iodide is formed. Now when we react lead nitrate with potassium iodide solution, this is an aqueous solution. This is also an aqueous solution. When you add to it, you will see it will form lead iodide PbI2 and with potassium nitrate. Now it is not balanced, I am balancing it. It is forming potassium nitrate solution. So lead iodide, this is lead iodide. Okay, lead iodide, it will give yellow PPT, yellow precipitate. It will form yellow precipitate. Okay, so you see, when I am mixing lead nitrate with potassium iodide, it will form lead iodide with potassium nitrate, and it will give a yellow PPT of lead iodide. Okay, similarly, one more example if I take magnesium ribbon. You have seen, you have done this practical in class 9, you are very much aware of it. If you take magnesium ribbon and just first you take the magnesium ribbon, you just rub it with a sandpaper to remove the oxide layer. Now hold that magnesium ribbon with a tongue and now bring it near a burner. When you burn it, it will form magnesium oxide, 2MgO. It will form magnesium oxide. With the evolution of heat also it will be given. So this it will burn with it will give a white dazzling flame. It will burn with a white dazzling flame. Okay, now this magnesium oxide, this is magnesium is solid, oxygen gas, it will form magnesium solid. It will form solid residue. Now this magnesium oxide is a metallic oxide. This is the metallic oxide. Okay. Now this metallic oxide, when the metallic oxides, as you know, metallic oxides are also, they are known as basic oxides. How will you know that they are basic oxide? When this magnesium oxide, it is put in water, it will form magnesium hydroxide. It will form magnesium hydroxide, which is a base. Now how will you know it is a base? If you put a red litmus or blue litmus paper, okay, if you put a red litmus or blue litmus paper, red litmus paper will change to blue litmus and blue litmus will remain unaffected. This shows that magnesium hydroxide is a basic in nature. I think this much is clear to you. Now one or more other examples, like if you take one more example, if I take like barium chloride. Last year this all practicals you have done it in class. If you take barium chloride, BaCl2, it is aqueous form. If you take sodium sulfate to it, Na2SO4. These are all chemical reactions. Barium chloride, if you add sodium sulfate to it, it will form barium sulfate, BaSO4 plus sodium chloride. Now this barium sulfate, it is also give white PPT. It will give you white PPT. These are all chemical reactions. Somewhere heat is evaluated, some color is changed, somewhere the state is changed. Like if you take hydrogen, hydrogen is a gas. When it reacts with oxygen, it is also a gas. It forms what? 2H2O. Liquid is formed. That means change in state is formed. Is it clear? One more thing, like if you take, you have done this also in practical in class 9. If you take iron nails, these are iron nails. If you add to copper sulfate solution, all of you know, it is blue in color. It is blue in color. Original copper sulfate, it is CuSO4 0.5H2O. It is called as blue vitriol. You call it as blue vitriol. Okay. Now when you add, when it reacts, it forms FeSO4 plus Cu. You get the color of the solution changes to green, pale green. Changes to pale green. Okay, and you get a deposit of copper over the iron nails. So these are the certain changes. These are the certain changes which are taking place while chemical reactions are taking place. Now, what are the characteristics of a chemical reactions? Now, next coming to the what are the characteristics of a chemical reaction?
Start.
Now, characteristics of a chemical reactions, equations. Characteristics of a chemical equation. First characteristic is change in state. Change in state. As we saw that when H2, hydrogen and oxygen gas reacts, it forms water, liquid. Okay, this is gas, this is gas. Second was change in color. Change in color. Like barium chloride reacting with sodium sulfate, it gave barium sulfate, BSO4 plus 2NaCl. You got white PPT. Okay?
Start.
Third is the change in formation of precipitate. Third is the formation of precipitate. We can give the same example like barium chloride plus sodium sulfate, it formed white color and also the white precipitate also. One more example as I have already given, lead nitrate plus potassium iodide, it gave lead iodide plus potassium nitrate. It formed yellow PPT, yellow precipitate. It got yellow PPT. Okay, and next is fourth one is the evolution of gas. Evolution of gas. Like if you take a test tube, in that you take zinc granules. Okay, and to it you add dilute HCl. Dilute HCl if you add, it will form Zn plus 2HCl. The zinc is solid in nature, HCl aqueous, it will form zinc chloride ZnCl2 with the evolution of hydrogen gas. It will give evolution of hydrogen gas. Okay, it will form evolution of hydrogen gas. That means, and how will you detect hydrogen gas? If you bring a burning matchstick near it, it will give a pop sound. Gives a pop sound. In this reaction also you can see evolution of heat also, because when this zinc will react with HCl, it will form zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas with the evolution of heat. So in other way, this reaction we can tell it as an exothermic reaction. To make it more clear, I'll give you one more example of evolution of heat, like of heat. Evolution of heat. Next is the last one is the evolution of heat. Like if you take quicklime, CaO, quicklime. In Hindi we call it as chuna. Now to that quicklime, if you add water, it forms what? Slaked lime, CaOH whole twice. This is slaked lime. This is quicklime, that is also called as calcium oxide. You call it as calcium oxide. To this, if you add water, it will form slaked lime, SLAKED, slaked lime or calcium hydroxide plus heat. This heat means exothermic reaction. This heat evolution shows exothermic reaction. Now to recapitulate the characteristics of a chemical change or chemical reaction, first one is the change in state, second formation of precipitate, third change in color, fourth evolution of gas and so on. Okay, and also the change in temperature, change in the temperature of the reaction. Now we will come to the chemical equation. What is a chemical equation? Chemical equation. Now, chemical equation is the shorthand representation of a chemical reaction. Chemical equation is the shorthand representation of a chemical reaction, is the chemical equation. Like when we write in words lead nitrate plus potassium iodide, giving arrow lead iodide plus potassium nitrate. So this is in words. So when you have to write it in the shorthand representation, you have to write it in using the formulas. Lead nitrate PbNO3 whole twice plus potassium iodide Ki, giving lead iodide PbI2 plus potassium nitrate KNO3. Okay. Now this we have to balance the reaction. If you write here 2, it will form. You see here 1 Pb nitrate NO2 2 NO3, 2 is the suffix, 2K 2I. So lead nitrate plus potassium iodide gives lead iodide, white it gives yellow PPT of lead iodide. Now, what are balanced, how to balance a chemical reaction, how to do balancing? We will be doing the balancing. Let us see how to now next topic which I will tell you, discuss how to do the balancing of chemical equation. Balancing of chemical equation. Balancing of chemical equation. Before that, it is very important, so you should know how to write the equation. For that, whatever you are taught in class 9 about the chemical, for writing the chemical formula, you have to please go through it. Chemical formula revising is very, very important. How to write the chemical formula. Like suppose when zinc granules are added to sulfuric acid, it forms zinc sulfate with the liberation of hydrogen gas. So zinc Zn plus sulfuric acid. This is zinc is solid, this is aqueous. It forms Zn sulf SO4 with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Okay, this is gas. Zinc sulfate. This is also aqueous solution. So now you see whether this reaction is balanced. How to write? Zinc, you see here, zinc 1, here also 1. Hydrogen 2 to sulfate 1, sulfate, a radical, this is also sulfate. Now next balancing which I will do is, what happens when magnesium ribbon burns in air? Now magnesium Mg, when it burns in air, it forms magnesium oxide, MgO. Now you can see this part, it is the reactant part. You write it as the reactant, and the other side of the arrow, it is the product. Now you can see here 1 magnesium is there. When you go to the product side, magnesium is also 1 here. When you see in the reactant side oxygen, it is 2 oxygen, here only 1 oxygen. That means it has to be balanced by trial and error method. Remember one thing, trial and error method. I think balancing was there in class 8, so you may have done it and you should remember all this thing. But then also, let us see. So before balancing, first column is before balancing. Before balancing. So you have to number of atoms, LHS and RHS. Okay. Now, so Mg is there, O is there. Before balancing, left hand side magnesium 1, right hand side also 1. Oxygen 2, here 1. Now how to balance it? So you have to make the LHS and RHS equal. So if you multiply magnesium with 2, and here also right hand side also with 2, then it will form 2 LHS, 2 magnesium in the LHS and 2 magnesium in the RHS. Now by doing this, now you can see the number of oxygen in the LHS becomes 2. So 1 into 2 it becomes 2. So already LHS it is 2. So the balanced, after balancing it becomes 2 mg plus O2 gives 2 mgO. This is a way of balancing a chemical equation. Now next balancing, one more balancing which we can do is when iron, red hot iron is passed through steam, like Fe plus H2O. Fe plus H2O gives Fe3O4 plus H2. Okay, this is red hot iron. This is red hot iron and this is steam. Okay, this is Fe3O4. This you called it as ferric oxide or iron 2,3 oxide with the liberation of hydrogen gas. This is hydrogen gas. The liberation of hydrogen gas is, the arrow is pointing upwards. Now how to balance it? Before balancing, okay, number of atoms, LHS and RHS. Okay, iron is there, hydrogen is there, oxygen is there. Iron 1, here RHS 3. Hydrogen 2, hydrogen also 2. Oxygen 1, here oxygen 4. So it is not balanced. It is a not unbalanced equation. If you have to balance it after balancing, now how can you balance it? How can you balance this? Same thing. Atoms, LHS, RHS. I will show you how to balance it. Iron, hydrogen, oxygen. Here you see iron is 1. Here iron 3. If I multiply it with 3, it will become 3. So I can write here Fe plus H2O, Fe3O4 plus H2. So here 3, I can write here 3. So here also right hand side 3. Now hydrogen here 2, here also 2. But oxygen is 4. So if I, here oxygen, if I multiply here with oxygen 4, so it will become 4 here, here already 4. So it should be 4. Now 4O, oxygen is 4O. Now by doing this, hydrogen becomes 4 to the 8. Here it was 2, so it will be 2 4 the 8. So it becomes 4. Here it is only 2 hydrogen, so 2 4 the 8. Now you can see it is a 3Fe plus 4H2. So this is a balanced chemical equation. So this way we can learn the balancing of chemical equation. Now how chemical reactions becomes more informative. Like suppose if I take zinc plus H2SO4. Now it becomes ZnSO4 plus H2. Now what are the informations we can get? Zinc, the physical state of the substance. Zinc is solid, sulfuric acid is aqueous, zinc sulfate is also aqueous with hydrogen gas. This is, so we can know first the state of the reactant, state of the substance, what is the state. Second, whether gas is liberated or precipitate is formed, that we can do. Here hydrogen gas is liberated. This arrow indicates the liberation of gas. Liberation of gas. Is it clear? The liberation of the gas. Third is, suppose if you take whether the reaction is reversible or irreversible. Like if you take N2 plus 3H2, it forms 2NH3. This is a reversible reaction. This arrow indicates the reversible, whether the reaction is reversible or irreversible. Fourth, whether we are adding any other, whether heat is liberated or heat is given out or conditions related to it is being like if you take calcium oxide plus water, it forms calcium hydroxide with the liberation of heat. Heat is liberated, that means heat is absorbed. Heat is liberated in this case. If you take one more example, N2 plus O2, here heat is absorbed, 2NO. Now, this type of reactions is known as endothermic reaction, where heat is absorbed. Heat is absorbed. That type of reactions are known as endothermic reaction, where heat is liberated. That type of reaction you call it as the exothermic reaction. Okay, one more thing, suppose if we are giving, like when we heat potassium chlorate, okay, when we heat it, like we are giving it external thing, it forms 2KCl plus 3O2. Here manganese dioxide is being added as a catalyst. So whether the reversible reactions or whether this one, some extra things, sometimes conditions like temperature, pressure, catalyst are also shown in a chemical reaction. So now my dear students, now till now I have just now taught you about what are chemical reactions, what is chemical equation, how to balance chemical equation, how can you know what are the characteristics of a chemical equation. Now I would request you to do a lot of whatever balancing is given in NCERT questions. If you feel doubts or if you have any doubts you cannot solve, you can ask me in my next, and whatever you feel you can ask and get your doubts clear. In the next class I will teach you about the different types of chemical reactions. So hope this video will help you out to know what is a chemical reaction, what is a chemical equation, how to balance chemical equation, what is how is the precipitate formed, how is gas liberated, what are its symbols, all these things. In this video I will give you the different types of chemical reactions.